The thought of it.
Hits the ground and melts.
I'm saying it's possible to get some at home.
The thought of it just.
Go up in the mountains.
Yeah.
Minnesota don't have mountains.
Somebody said we're supposed to have a lot.
They
of
were
snow
talking about
this
Minnesota?
winter.
Yeah, that's what she said. But little kids going to school.
Yeah, they just
Try on, you see?
Yeah.
Try on. Must be going to a...
Private school, yeah.
I don't know. I think kids should have to wear.
That's the
uniforms.
subway over there.
Yeah. One of our daughter's kids have to wear a uniform.
Well, you know.
I think it's great.
I do too. What's trendy?
Women, zip up your purses, men, tuck your wallet in your front pockets.
Yeah. And then, did you notice how it starts? It stops so it starts so quick. One time it's a luxury apartment and then it's Harlem. Just now, not gradual.
Chinese don't let them in.
Your TV antenna sticking out of that window.
And the police department in Chinatown. Right. Chinatown. They take care of their own. Somebody shuts out a line.
See the little churches in there.
But Chinese.
Look at this, just terrible.
It's terrible.
Nope.
As we go over the bridge, just look down, I think to the right, you'll see a lot of nice sailboats and yachts that are down in the harbor.
There's a Newport Bridge, one in Newport, Rhode Island.
Close your eyes.
That's just,
That's once it sails up or something like
you can imagine when they have the races, they're all fantastic, it really is.
What kind of races?
Sailboat.
Is this famous for that?
Kind of nice also.
I hope that you have a lovely day. If you have any questions for me, I am Miss Dubois. Good day then.
Thank you, Mr. Dubois.
I should have caught all that when I didn't.
All right.
The water closet is
Operations was in Whistler and Woodbury, and she told me the high tea's at 3. And then you get the 6th course meal there at noon. It's just lunch and tea. Now, I don't know, that's how she told me. That was high tea.
I hope I'm getting this right. Title. Cinema. Oh my, yes. Isn't that something? Then you just push that button.
What button?
No, there's nothing over here.
That red one?
Yeah. And it's on? Yeah, on. We're gonna wait and get some inside.
Get something exciting on it.
Winter, they came here and built their cottage.
Don't waste the film. Okay, there. And of my sons, my oldest one's got a full set of hair, and the two in the middle don't have any. And the youngest one, he's using his hair.
Shower anymore like he used to.
Called Astor House.
It is. See Mrs. Aston. Right this way, then, in that hall. Yes. Well, yes, you are the dinner guests for tomorrow evening. A very interesting dress you're wearing, though they don't appear to be from the year 1891. You do realize that this is the year 1891 here in the home.
Yes.
So everyone who is showing you about that is the year they know. I'm afraid if you have questions after that year, they will not know the answer. So you might bring those questions to those of us who are at the front door, a bit more clairvoyant up there. Well, in my family, you see, it's a gift. We see things in dreams. And in one of my dreams, I saw that John Jacob Astor IV, well, now he is the only son to Mrs. Astor, and he does perish in that shipwreck, the Titanic. Well, he does not know about this, and I'm afraid if you were to make him aware of it, he might live his finding it in a very distressing manner. So it's very kind of you if you just not mention anything of this sort to anyone in the home. But since you are dinner guests now, that means that you're part of the 400, which is the social register that Mrs. Astor began. Now, to be part of the 400, you must have 3 things. The first is that you have $1 million ready cash for every member in your family. The second is that you have had this wealth for 3 generations. And the third is that you have never worked a day in your life. So congratulations.
Don't call her Aunt Lena. Now, don't be frightened. I noticed some of you were taken back when you came out and see she's not really 8 feet tall. She just looks that way. It's the way she's painted. The man who painted it, Carlo Duran, paints women taller and thinner. Are any of you on his waiting list to be painted? Well, the waiting list is quite long. It's actually about a year and a half. It's very tall and thin as well, like the women he paints.
Not to be confused with my mother-in-law. But, well, I actually was looking for your brother, Robert. He was supposed to paint me today.
I lived in painting at home in Putnam.
Oh, goodness. I thought we were to meet here, but I probably got my locations mixed up a bit. Well, I suppose we'll see one another tomorrow night, however.
It was a pleasure seeing you.
It was a pleasure seeing you as well. Good day.
Good day.
Thank you. Good day.
So it's Pride and Death, actually. This is... Oh, yes, they were close. In fact, they've only had 2 in here so far. 2 visitors involved. So it's fairly new. In fact, the room was just installed last year. It's the newest addition to the home, and it used to be 3 separate rooms, one of which was Mr. Astor's library. Now, he wasn't too happy that she was taken out of the library, so he wanted to have some sort of saying in the room. And they are both quite fond of the ocean, so they requested an ocean theme. Mr. Hunt, who designed the room entirely, brought the ocean inside by using over 800 mirrors. The mirrors, the walls, and panels. But more intricately, if you look at the panels on the walls and the doors, you'll see that they're laid like patterns. But if you look at the floor, if you stand and look at it across like this, it's better if you look at it from this direction, because you can actually see the wave. That's a good idea. Mr. Murray.
Yes, sir.
Would you mind taking over? I was showing these guests about the home, their dinner guest.
Do you want me to meet with the debutante instead of yourself, sir?
I was saying this lady suggested that perhaps you could take over showing the guests about the home, perhaps the 2nd floor.
Yes, I would be delighted to do that.
I've shown them the 1st floor. You wouldn't mind?
No, not at all.
All right, would that be a very nice idea? Thank you for the suggestion.
Hurry back.
Bring your
All
lady
right.
back with you.
All right, I will.
Yeah, we want to
I'll
meet her.
definitely try to.
Yeah,
So
we want
it has been an honor meeting you, a pleasure. You've been a delightful group to show about the home, and thank you so much. And Mr. Murray, thank you very much for yours.
Mr. Chandler.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I turn around the bad time? I'm sorry. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
I will hopefully see you before the end of your inspection. So.
Hey, nice seeing you.
Good day.
Nice meeting you. Good day. We'll see you tomorrow at dinner, if not today.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mr. Carl Murray, and I'm a valet to the Stewart family who's staying next door at Mrs. Astor's guest cottage, Felicity. Would you mind if I look upon you and speak freely?
Yes, no problem.
Thank you so much. It's much better than looking at the floor all day, I would say. As I was telling you, I'm just merely a valet, but I certainly know all about the living quarters up here, and understand, so it helps quite a bit. But what she has done is she's taken all of these cards in here, in this little box. She's put a number on it. And what she did is whenever the new gowns arrived from Paris, she also stitched a number in the back of the collar of each of the gowns, you see. So now instead of traipsing up and down the stairs, trying to figure out what the lady's going to be wearing, well, she'll just look through her cataloging system here and pick the number on the card that she wants to wear, you see, because there's a description of the gown along with the accessories that go with it. Now all Miss Drayton has to do is ask her lady's maid to retrieve the number she wants, bring it down, present it to her, and if it's the gown she wants to wear, well, then she'll help her prepare it, and then Mrs. Drayton's lady maid, well, she'll tear up this card, you see, because the gown will never be worn again in the presence of anyone of her society, so she'll just simply tear up the card and throw it away. Now, oftentimes, the ladies, they will pass their gowns to their ladies' maids, like Miss Dubois that was out on the drive. That's the one I was telling you about. She actually said that her lady's maid, Mrs. Stewart, she passed her gown to her. She took off some of the lace and the beads and such and altered it to fit herself. She'll often make pillows and quilts and such as that as well. Tomorrow evening, whenever you arrive, you ladies may use the dressing table here. Now there's brushes and combs and such and pins. We'll bring in flowers for you ladies to put flowers in your hair as well as feathers and things of that nature. And if you haven't had your arsenic for the day, you can take your arsenic as well with your tea. All right, you ladies had your arsenic today.
That's poison.
You're giggling. About the arsenic?
That's poison.
Oh, you ladies don't take the arsenic in your tea. Oh, yes, well, all of the ladies here, they take a spot of arsenic in their tea each day because we see, gentlemen, please excuse me, but the ladies, they have to wear some tooling around their midsection, keeps them a bit lifted, and sometimes it makes the blood rush to their cheeks. And you see, it's quite unattractive to have that pink skin. So the ladies will take arsenic and keep the blood quite down, you see. It helps the ladies with their complexion. I'm noticing some of you gentlemen are looking a bit pink yourself. Perhaps it's all the Yes. Well, they wanted to see the servants' quarters. I suppose they're a bit progressive. I noticed some of the ladies were showing their ankles, so I suppose they're servants.
Indeed.
Yes, sir.
Some of them wearing gentlemen's pants, too, I see.
I think they're all suffragists, Mr. Masterson.
Oh, very good then. Well, I think I'll be on my way. Oh, in truth, I'm sorry. Mr. Robbins told me to mention that you should deliver the post about the home.
Oh, yes, I can do that.
Very good then.
Certainly. Good day, Mr. Masterson.
Good day.
Good day. Well, before I take you down to the room that's my favorite, I can show you, this is the children's playroom there. Now, all 7 grandchildren don't fit in that room. They bring out the toys and they play with their governess and such. And, of course, the governesses stay upstairs in the servants' quarters where the lady domestics stay. And then oftentimes the children get aired out twice a day, so perhaps that's what they're doing right now.
Getting aired out.
And now this room here, this is Mrs. Lightfoot's room. Now, of course, we can't all fit in there, but we can peek through. But Mrs. Lightfoot, she's the head housemaid. Now, Mrs. Lightfoot actually becomes in charge of the home whenever the Astor family leaves, because Mr. Haid, the butler, and Mr. Felix Walker, and some of the other servants, they all leave, you see. So that leaves Mrs. Lightfoot in charge. I meant to say Chef LeBlanc, not Felix Walker. He's just a footman. But actually, Mrs. Lightfoot, someone was asking me today why she has no door in her frame. Well, that's because, as I was telling you, the lady domestics, they stay upstairs, so that leaves the male domestics downstairs, and, well, there's the staircase, and so she has to watch it quite well, you see. Yes, and Mrs. Lightfoot, she even placed that mirror there quite appropriately, so she could see from her bed to the mirror to the staircase as well. You have to watch out for her. She keeps a stern ship. And the oven is actually where they cook vegetables, or perhaps especially cakes and pastries and such, or perhaps your turkey or your ham. They can put that down here. This top part's called a range, and on the range they can prepare some of your other meats and vegetables and things, or perhaps your tea, and they can cook that right here. And the most wonderful thing when Mrs. Astor did her renovations, and she had gas attached to the home, she also had gas attached to her oven and her range. So all you have to do is strike a match and light it on top, and it will heat up like a fire, you see. It's quite delightful. Up here, these are the broiler pans where they can prepare some of your other meats and such. And this pan, I noticed someone noticing that this pan was hanging here and said they could fry a good egg on that. We see Olga. Olga, she's the undercook. You see, when Chef LeBlanc leaves with Mrs. Astor, Olga becomes in charge of the kitchen. So this is Olga's kitchen now. That's why I wanted to check first, because if we were caught in here by Olga, we'd be in a lot of trouble. Because we'll see Olga, she can fry 4 dozen eggs in this pan and flip it all with one arm. That's all. You see this space in between the oven and the table here? That's for Olga as well.
We'd like to...
have to watch out for Olga.
Where is she? We'd like to meet her.
No, you wouldn't.
Oh, all right.
This is one of my favorite things in the kitchen. You may touch it if you like. It's called a zinc top table. You see, it's a bit cool right now. And what's curious about a zinc top table is they can take a boiling pot of water off of the range, sit it right here in the middle of the zinc top table, and it will heat the surface, you see. That way all your meats and your vegetables and your hot things are served to you warm because they've been sitting on this table. See, it's the butler's pantry. And they can do the same thing with the table over there. They can take a rather large block of ice, sit it right in the middle, and it will chill the surface so that your sorbets and your fruits and your salads are kept cool until they're brought to you as well. It's quite delightful. Actually, I mean, yes, certainly.
He's got a BMW convertible, a very expensive car.
Yeah, really. Probably one of the Astors then. It was good.
I have to ask about it. That he, Mr. Brown, would you have one look?
That's the hot tub. practice at home to see how I run the damn thing before I brought it.
No, did you ever notice they have siding on the front, but they have something different on the side?
Yeah, a lot of them do, I noticed that.
It's a new front.
Sleeping arrangements. We have a few cabins that represent what they might have been like down at the far end. And if you're coming down, some of you want to head the other way, it's a little crowded right here. If you're down here and you're on your own, you can go whichever way you want. Go carefully. You'll find many things exhibited. When it gets a little crowded here, you go there and then come back and you'll get another chance.
If you have the skill, you build a little room. Much better than what we portray generally. Because if we portray bigger rooms, you could move around down here. Or much cruder with just canvas curtains. But you do something to set the earrings in greater order. That's the obsession of the 17th century, is order, order, order. You're not
is control. And that's the disposition of a helmsman standing from behind. And furthermore, you can see an additional mechanical advantage with the whip staff. We've located this piece of wood over the hatch simply to prevent our visitors from getting their feet caught, but this wouldn't be here normally. But you can see this fulcrum-shaped object. This is what in the period is called a roll. And not only does it allow the whipstaff to pivot laterally, but it also allows us to descend the whipstaff a little deeper into the lower deck. You can see how much extension we get from it. And so as you work the whipstaff, you not only swing it from side to side, but you actually sink it a little deeper into the deck, which of course, being attached to the tiller, further sweeps out the tiller and gets more manipulation and control of the rudder.
Would one man work that, or would
as long as he can. The difficulty is such that as all three components are connected, so long as one is moving, the other is moving, and at sea this whipstaff swings like a metronome. Yeah. So the helmsman is not just galling around lazily back here, but he's actually...
Where we ate over there last night, way over there. Our lobster.
Yeah, we don't have time for that.
Well, that's all right. We love them too. We have corn, beans, hogs, and cattle, and they get hay out there. Anyhow, welcome to Ocean Spray Cranberry World Museum. We're just glad to have you here. This is formerly the headquarters of Ocean Spray. They are now 16 miles west of here in a beautiful setting in a large area of bogs. And our processing plant is just south there about 5 miles. So this was the beginning, and our museum started in 1977. We'll be out of here in this November into our new museum down here just a few blocks down by the Rotary Circle. So when you come back, it's going to be exciting, and we hope you'll enjoy it because it's going to be more modern and everything. Ocean Spray itself is a co-op. We all know what co-ops are, don't we? It was started in 1930. And it has grown now to involve 5 states and possibly eventually Maine, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Wisconsin, Oregon, and Washington, British Columbia, and also up in the Montreal, Ontario area.
Boston over there, the city. This is the Kennedy Library.
No, I want this when I start by.
No, that's what Tom, wait a minute.
That's Logan Airport? Must be, because the planes are going up.
Yeah.
I said this in here reminds me of Crystal Cathedral. Kind of how that's built. There's a flag up there.
Did you get that on tape? That's from Mogan?
Yes, I did.
Whoa, look at that building.
Whoa. Woo! This is the John Hancock building, downtown Boston. Anyway. Huh?
I need a super wide to go water. I joke. Well, all you see is all this stuff
On the top of the world. If I'd known that.
Yeah, it's like being in an airplane.
I've never been in
He's never been in
Oh, you haven't? Okay.
Believe it or not, I am afraid of heights.
Okay.
It's kind of like you get the feeling that.
That he's talking about. At the extreme end of it, there are a group of buildings.
We're underwater. For the next few minutes, let's imagine that we're back in the year 1775. Were we to descend to ground level, right here at the foot of John Hancock Tower, we'd be in the middle of a tidal marsh. The town itself is built on almost an island called Charlotte Peninsula, and the narrow strip of earth, Boston Neck, is our only connection to the main. In 1775, Boston already is an old town. It's been about 150 years since John Winthrop moved over from Charlestown to avoid the mosquitoes and seek better water. The French and Indian War is already some 12 years past. The British price was high, and ever since, the Crown has tried to levy taxes on the American colonies, but without colonial representation in Parliament. In freedom.
Nice rooms. It's the first time I've done a room, you know that? I should have did that rinky-dink one in New York.
Howard's release was a very quiet affair. No emotional outbursts, no fanfare. During her first few seconds of freedom, Howard was greeted by a smattering of prison guards and a few
Here is the very best feature of it. You get ironing boards in these places. And bathrooms routine. USS Constitution.
The house just passed it, the brick house, a little more modern looking, 1720. Coming back and moving up a little forward in history, come back to the wooden house from 1770 until 1800. It belonged to Paul Revere. And he lived there with his 2 wives and his 16 children. So, well, one after the other. So, until 1800, Paul Revere owned that house. Where you see the anchor with the flag here, this is the Mariners Society. We're in the line, so that group doesn't get in front of us. My wife is a nasty person. She brings school groups here and she promises them their next stop will be the Paul Revere Mall. This is it. This area was cleared out back in the 1920s. It was slums and tenements and nasty little alleyways, but it was cleared to make a very nice connection between 2 lovely churches. Now, the church on this side was built in 1800, and it was built to be a Puritan church. middle of the 19th century, though, what's happened to the neighborhood? Who's the first big history to arrive? The Irish. All the Protestants move out, all the Irish move in. What are we going to do with the church? Who sold it? St. Stephen's, a Catholic church today. And if you want the history of Boston in one long sentence, why don't you follow me now?
No cameras. I can video, can I?
No.
Oh, I thought it was flashes you couldn't do. No.
I just got a friend. I've been wanting this for days, you know. I said I wanted to get next to something live. Oh, so I didn't have my dog.
One of my two with me on the bus.
Really?
Wonderful.
What kind?
Standard poodles.
Oh, we would have.
Big ones.
We could have taken care of them.
Yeah, that Esther Forbes.
And make for duckling, one of my favorite books. But what is this? Yeah.
There's more crowds here than New York.
Maybe it's a,
Whoops. Down around the corner. That's not important. It's true.
Following the red brick road. What did you say about that, sir? Say that again. I missed it.
This is in the Guinness Book of Records. This is the only parking garage, to our knowledge, in existence, with street level entrance on 4 different levels. 1, 2, 3, down around the corner, 4. This is not important, it's just odd. There was, back in 1919, a huge tank right in the middle of all the tenements and slums that were down here in this flat area. And it was up on stilts, and it held 2.5 million gallons of molasses, and it exploded. A 23-foot wave of molasses swept through the streets of the North End. A couple dozen people were drowned in the stuff. Hundreds were injured. It took them weeks to pump it out of the cellar holes and whatnot and flush it out into the harbor. And they say that for 40 years, the North End smelled sticky molasses smell on a hot summer day. It's called the Great Molasses Flood. And it wasn't really funny, you know, it was a very serious industrial accident. But it was a sticky situation, for sure.
2 minutes left.
Now you're going to see a little more of my favorite construction project. For the 6 million Jews who died in those camps. It's a very, very effective monument. Now on your left you will see a lovely brick building. We'll be going to be coming back in this area for lunch. This is called Faneuil Hall. It's also known as the Cradle of Liberty. It's been there for 250 years with shops on the first floor, public meeting rooms upstairs. It still functions the same way. We still have the public meetings upstairs and shops on the first floor. Up in front of us on the right you can see, and those on the left, yes, all the way around. A lovely little gem of a building, the old State House. This is where the British governor had his headquarters before the Revolution. It's English bond, by the way, and a brick. And as you look up, you'll be able to see, and you can see this later after lunch, we're coming by here. We have at the top of the gables of this building the lion and the unicorn, the symbols of the hated British Empire. And I can tell you in 1776, we ripped them off and burned them. 100 years later, we put them back up because we thought they'd look nice. The balcony on this end of that building is where, on July 17th, 1776, the Declaration of Independence was read out loud to the people of Boston for the first time. The brick one that you're going to see as we're coming around the corner. And you're going to see this building again later. I'll point it out again later. But this is look to your left. You can see the balcony I'm referring to.
See, there's the lion and the...
Now, the nice thing about that balcony and that story about the Declaration of Independence, on the 4th of July every year, we have a rereading of the Declaration of Independence from the same balcony at the beginning of our 4th of July. That's the way we start the day. Very nice thing. This past summer, Over that weekend, we had the Future Homemakers of America here. I don't know if you're